Hello, everyone. Welcome to Rockdale County Public Schools Dual Enrollment Night. My name is Israel Rowe. I am the Dual Enrollment Counselor for the district. On the screen, you will see my contact information. My office is over at RCA. The dual enrollment advisors from Clayton State and Georgia Piedmont Technical College hold offices at RCA as well on Monday through Thursday. So since students take their dual enrollment classes at RCA, we are there to assist them. So the purpose of the dual enrollment program is to promote and increase access to post-secondary educational opportunities for eligible Georgia high school students. And I will talk about which students are eligible in just a few slides. Students may enroll on a part-time or full-time basis as a dual enrollment student, and they will take their college courses either at RCA, or they can take them virtually, or in some instances, they can take them on the college campus. For an example, our students who take cosmetology with GPTC, we bus them to the Newton campus and bus them back. So dual enrollment means students are dually enrolled. They are still a Rockdale County public school student and they are a college student. So they may be a Clayton State student or they may be a Point University student. Students have to apply to the college just like they would for their undergraduate studies. They have to meet the admissions requirements. They have to apply. They have to be accepted before we can schedule them. Their dual enrollment college classes must be part of their RCPS schedule. All of their classes must have counselor approval. Students who self-register, who just go and register for a class without speaking to their counselor, without telling their counselor anything about their classes, we may not necessarily place that on their schedule and on their high school transcript. Again, the students have the option of taking their classes in person at RCA or taking them virtually. We currently do not have plans for any hybrid dual enrollment classes next year. And students can drive to RCA, and if not, they are bused over. We do schedule buses that bring them back and forth between RCA and the home schools. The students' final grades must go on their high school transcript. Whatever grade the college gives us, we do have to place that on the high school transcript. And of course, it does go on the college transcript as well. Okay, these are the students that are eligible per the state. Ninth graders are not eligible to participate in the dual enrollment funding program. We do not recommend that ninth graders take dual enrollment just because we think, give them some time just to get accustomed to high school. If this is something that you do insist on pursuing, though, you will have to speak to our lead counselor for the district, Ms. Tanya Cobb, so that she can have, a deeper conversation and make sure the student is getting what they need and that you and the student do understand everything that comes with being a ninth grader taking dual enrollment classes. But again, that is not something that we recommend. 10th graders are eligible for funding for approved CTAE courses that are listed on the state course directory. They will pay, there is funding for that. And our CTAE classes are all offered through Georgia Piedmont Technical College. If you have a 10th grader who wants to take an academic class, like a math class or an English class, they, of course, still have to meet the admissions requirements, and they do have to score a 1200 or higher on the SAT or a 26 or higher on the ACT. And that is just in one test sitting. They will not allow for super scoring for that. For my 11th and 12th graders, if you get admitted to the college, if you meet those requirements, then you are eligible for funding for any of the classes that are on the state approved course list. All right, these are some of the pros and cons of dual enrollment. Of course, you earn college credit, and that can equal less tuition expenses that you have as an undergrad. It can help build your confidence. You do have to be a much more independent student. It is a more rigorous classroom environment. And then some of the cons of dual enrollment, like I said, your permanent grade, your final grade is a permanent grade. It goes on your permanent record. That's great if you have an A or B or a C, not so great if you failed the course. So, understand that that is a possibility. You can't say, oh, well, I failed it. Just never mind. I'll take it through the high school, erase that grade. That doesn't happen. Now, the state does cover tuition. If it is a state-approved dual enrollment course, they will cover the tuition if you have a funding application on file. However, some classes, there may be a lab fee, there may be extra textbooks that the instructor requires, there may be particular materials or gear that you need, for an example, for the certified nursing assistant class, perhaps for the welding or HVAC class. That is not covered by the state, and those items would not be covered by Rockdale County Public Schools either. And then, less assignments in the college class means each assignment counts more. It may be hard for some students to adjust to a single test or a single essay or a single quiz counting for as much as, 25 or 30%. So that could be a bit of an adjustment. Another adjustment is for parents and counselors. There's very limited oversight that a parent or counselor can have when it comes to the dual enrollment classes. Each college has its own learning management system, like how we use Infinite Campus. The colleges may use Canvas, they may use Blackboard, they may use something different. And we don't have access to that. If a parent wants to see that or if a counselor wants to see it, we have to ask the student to log in and be willing to show us that information. Other than that, we only get midterm grades and final grades. These are some considerations that you really want to think about before you take part in dual enrollment. Parents will, again, you won't have typical access to a grade. The grades are not posted to Infinite Campus until the final grade at the end of each semester. Communication with the dual enrollment instructors are limited to the student and the instructor. Even if a student signs a FERPA waiver, that just means they're permitting the college to share records with the parent. It does not mean a professor will communicate with the parent about the particulars of a grade. Excuse me, like they will not go into detail about, oh, she's sitting in class, she's not involved, she's sleeping, she failed her first test, her essay scores may not be that high. They don't go into that kind of detail the way the high school instructors would. And again, each college has their own policies when it comes to makeup work, late work, attendance. Some instructors may be a bit more lenient and allow for retakes or retests. Typically, what we have found is that they do not. Deadlines are deadlines. Due dates are due dates. Late work is often not accepted. Retakes and test corrections are often not a possibility. They run them very much like you are sitting on the college campus. Students who receive accommodations through an IEP or 504, they are still allowed to submit their IEP or 504 to the college. And then the college communicates with the student to let them know which, if any, accommodations they will be able to have in their dual enrollment classes. This is not something we can give to the college, again, because of confidentiality and FERPA. We can't send the IEP, we can't send the 504, we cannot complete that paperwork. That is on the student and the parent. Now, credit transfer is not necessarily a guarantee that if you take dual enrollment college algebra with GMC, that it will necessarily transfer to the college you're going to for your undergraduate studies. Now, if you go to a college that is part of the university system of Georgia or the technical college systems of Georgia, they have agreements. So for an example, UGA, Augusta, West Georgia, GPTC, Wiregrass College, they have all of the public colleges and universities, they have an agreement with one another that they will accept dual enrollment credit transfers. The private colleges in Georgia and out-of-state colleges, it is not a guarantee. So what we always recommend is that the student communicate with the college they're interested in, and they just ask. For an example, if you're thinking of going to FAMU or you're thinking of going to Auburn University, you could just call or email their Office of Admissions and say, hey, I'm thinking of taking these 3 classes through dual enrollment with Clayton State, for an example. If I pass this class, will you accept the transfer credit? That really is always the safest bet because, again, with private Georgia colleges and universities and with out-of-state colleges and university, we cannot guarantee transfer credit. Also, competitive universities like, say, an Emory or Georgia Tech or an MIT, sometimes they do not consider dual enrollment courses as rigorous as AP courses. Again, we recommend you just do your research, that you reach out to that college's Office of Admissions and just ask them, hey, if I take these courses through dual enrollment versus AP, which one is more likely to look better on my admissions application? So to do dual enrollment with us next year, these are our basic requirements. You do have to be on track for graduation, meaning if you are about to be a senior next year, but you are still missing half a credit of a math course and maybe half a credit of an English course, we will not let you take dual enrollment unless you perhaps earn those credits over the summer. Our primary concern is that you have what you need to graduate. Without the extras, because again, dual enrollment is not required, it's not mandatory. But your core classes, the things that you need to get your credits to graduate, that is our primary focus for all of our students. So you do have to be on track to graduation, for graduation. We do require that your dual enrollment classes fit within your schedule. So students take up to 8 classes. So we will not let you get scheduled for 11 classes with, 3 of them being dual enrollment. Most of our colleges, these are their requirements. You do have to have at least a 3.0 GPA. You will have to ask your counselor to send your high school transcript to the college that you apply to. Most of the colleges want a parent or guardian to sign an advisement or participation agreement so that they know that your parent or guardian knows you're taking those classes. Every student must complete a dual enrollment funding application on Georgia Futures. And again, you must have your counselor's approval. And if you plan on taking dual enrollment classes in the summer, these are the same requirements that will apply. You can speak to your counselor during academic advisement. And there is going to be a hard May 1st deadline so that we make sure we have time to get you scheduled and registered and funded for the summer classes because they do start in May, actually. So students, really take a minute and look at each of these questions and ask them about yourself. That can kind of help you know if dual enrollment is a good fit for you versus AP versus, just remaining in your regular high school classes. So really ask yourself each of those questions to give you a better idea of whether or not dual enrollment is a good fit for you. Okay, this is very important. Again, there is state funding for these classes. The state allows students to take 30 semester hours of courses or 45 quarter hours of courses. What does that mean? Every college course is a certain amount of credit hours. Something like a freshman seminar that every undergrad has to take is usually a 1-hour credit class. Your core academic, your math, science, English, social studies typically are 3. If there is a lab component involved, like maybe HVAC, biology, nail tech, those classes could be anywhere from 3 to 5 credit hours per class. So with that in mind, we tell our students you can probably do about 9 to 10 dual enrollment classes and be fully funded for it by the state. So for an example, English composition 1101 is 3 credit hours. So if you took that class in the fall, that means you have used 3 credit hours, which would leave you with 27 credit hours for the remainder of your high school career. The state does put out a course directory of approved classes every year, and only the classes on that list are what the state will fund. The state will not fund for a class that a student has already taken. And if a student withdraws from 2 dual enrollment classes, regardless of when they withdraw, the state will no longer provide them with funding. The state also does not pay for any fine arts dual enrollment classes or physical education dual enrollment classes. I do often get parents asking about an associate's degree, especially if they have older children, because that is something that used to be a lot more feasible for high school students before there was a funding cap and a grade level cap. But now for a student to try to pursue an associate's degree, it really does. You really have to start thinking about it in middle school, to be honest. Parents will be required to pay out of pocket for many classes. Usually that student, like by 9th grade, is going to need to take the SAT or ACT. And a lot of your classes will be online, or you may have to have transportation to the college campus because of the amount of courses that are required are just not courses that we offer at RCA. So if this is something you are considering, just please contact me. And also I can put you in contact with, again, the district's lead counselor, Ms. Tanya Cobb, because it would require a lot of planning, and we would want to make sure at bare minimum, the student knows what they need to graduate and then go from there. Can you pay out of pocket? Yes, you can. Eligible students can take dual enrollment classes at their own expense. We know that because these classes are weighted by your GPA, meaning, for an example, like instead of just getting 3 points for earning a B, to be calculated into your GPA, it's going to weigh more than that. So we do respect ambitious students. And you may say, well, fine, I'll take 3 classes over the summer and I'll just pay for them myself. That is fine, but you do still need counselor approval in order for it to be placed on your transcript and for us to award you high school credit for it. And then this is board policy from the state, just saying the student needs to be eligible, the college they take classes with need to be eligible, the classes need to be classes that are approved, etc. So GA Futures is the website where all of the funding happens. Even the colleges use Georgia Futures. It is through the Georgia Student Finance Commission. So a student will have to have a Georgia Futures account. They will fill out a dual enrollment funding application. We are talking about this for next school year, so you would have to complete a funding application for 2026 to 2027. If you listen to this presentation and then you immediately go make an account and complete an application, it will not be active for next school year because that app for next school year has not opened yet. So students make an account, they complete a funding application, and then parents and guardians, there is a part that you have to complete. And this often is sort of the missing piece. Students forget to remind parents, parents receive the email and they kind of just overlook it because they don't know what it is. But if you do not complete the parent participation agreement, your child's funding app is not complete. And without a completed dual enrollment funding application, we will not allow the student to be registered for classes. In fact, the colleges have now started to not let students register for classes without a funding app because none of us want a 16 or 17-year-old getting a bill for $500, $600, $1,000. So the funding app is very important. And I will let you know where instructions and everything, how to create an account, how to complete the funding app, where all of that can be found. When it comes to funding, these are the main issues that block the state funding. So a student's social security number must be on file with Georgia Futures and with what they give to the college. These three courses that we offer here at RCA through dual enrollment, they do use a lot of funding hours. They use anywhere from 18 to 24 of the 30 allowed funding hours. So if students want to take mechatronics, for an example, which uses 24 funding hours, but they still want to take a math and English, an elective like psychology, we do advise that they tap into their HOPE money. And that is something that we can go into more detail about if you need that option. The state does require that all male students who will be turning 18 while taking dual enrollment classes, that they do have to register for selective service. And there's nothing that we can do about that in Rockdale. It is a state requirement if the student wants state funding for dual enrollment. Okay, these are our Rockdale County Public School partner colleges and universities: Georgia Piedmont Technical College, Georgia Military College, Clayton State, and Point University. Their applications and their admission requirements are all at www.rockdaleschools.org/DE. There's links for everything for each of the colleges there. GPTC is who we offer CTAE classes through. So CNA, cosmetology, nail tech, cybersecurity, those type classes. Georgia Military College is on the quarter system. So students who do that, they are going to switch classes in the middle of each semester. So their first quarter will run August to mid-October. Second quarter is mid-October to December. Third quarter is January to mid-March. And then their last quarter is mid-March to May. Clayton State is a four-year public university, and Point University is a four-year private university. Their classes next year, all the dual enrollment classes they offer through Rockdale will be virtual only, as well as Georgia Military. If a student prefers an in-person class, then they would need to choose Georgia Piedmont Technical College or Clayton State. And I will stay on this slide for just a moment. These are the dual enrollment classes that, as of now, we will be offering next year. And with the exception of the CTAE courses, students can take these classes at any of our 4 partner colleges. Just remember, if it's a CTAE course, those are only offered through Georgia Piedmont Technical College. Also, we do schedule students for the entire year. So you will already know what you have in the fall and then what you will be taking in the spring. So these next few slides talk about Georgia Piedmont Technical College, since that is our CTAE partner. Each of these pathways and CTAE classes can lead to a TCC. They are all double booked, meaning a student would take a class back to back. So for an example, A2 and then A3, or B3 and then B4, for an example. They are all a year long, meaning a student can complete them from August to May. We do offer mechatronics, which has an engineering component. We offer HVAC. We offer welding. We offer cybersecurity. We offer nail tech. Please keep in mind, out of all of these CTAE programs, nail tech is the only 2-year program. All of our other ones that I'm showing you on these slides are 1 year. Students can complete them in 1 school year. Nail tech is a 2-year program because year 2, the students are really just actually doing nails and getting the hours in so that they can take their state board exam and become hopefully fully licensed nail technicians. do also offer early childhood education and certified nursing assistant. Please keep in mind that certified nursing assistant and cosmetology are capped. Those classes cannot have more than 14 students. Certified nursing assistant and cosmetology are capped at 14 students. And yes, we do give priority to our upperclassmen. Okay, so now that you've heard everything about dual enrollment, if you are interested and you think this is a good fit for you, you are going to complete the dual enrollment entrance form. That way your counselor knows that you're interested in dual, and I know. I will give you the QR code for that at the end. We do have a parent square group for all of our interested students so that I can continue to communicate with you and give you information throughout the rest of the school year. If you go to Parent Square and click on groups, there is, you will see every student in Rockdale County, every high school student in Rockdale County has already been placed in that group. So you just need to click on it and join it. Research our partner colleges and decide where you want to apply, of course, and then apply. Make sure you ask your counselor to send your transcript to the college. All of our high schools will start academic advisement sometime after Thanksgiving break. That is when your counselor schedules a time to have a one-on-one conference with you to discuss your classes and your schedule for the next school year. So at that time, you want to make sure you discuss dual enrollment with your counselor, tell them which college you're interested in and what classes you're interested in. And your counselor will let you know, about your credits, what you need, if that's feasible, etc. This would also be the time to let your counselor know if you want to take any dual enrollment classes during the summer. And then students, whatever email address you use when you're applying, you will need to check that consistently, because as soon as you apply, the college is going to start reaching out to you to let you know what your next steps are. If you need help applying, all of our dual enrollment advisors from our partner colleges and I will be at each high school to assist you with applications. We can get your transcripts at that time. You can ask any further questions. So these are the dates that we will be at each of the high schools. We'll be there from 8:30 to 2:30 on those days. We will likely be in the media center for each school. And this is the interest form. So please scan that and complete the information so we know what college and what classes you want. And your counselor will know to make sure they discuss that with you during your one-on-one academic advisement. And then again, listed is my email address, rcps.dualenrollment@rockdale.k12.ga.us. Pardon that bell, that is the bell for the end of the day. And then to find all of this information, again, the county website page, there is a dual enrollment page with this presentation will be there. The interest form will be there. All of the links to apply. There's information about funding. There's information on there about transfer credits. There is a form for parents, an FYI with sort of frequently asked questions and answers. So my email address and then the county website, the dual enrollment page are really your go-to for all things Rockdale County Public Schools dual enrollment. And thank you so much. If you have any further questions, based on this presentation, please email me.